Yo, welcome back to the channel. My name is Venturous, and guys, we're going to be talking about XDefiant and the server test that they recently launched between April 19th and April 21st. I have my mixed reviews on it. I've played quite a bit of the game and had some fun and also some not so great times about the game. And I think it's something we should just have a conversation about and share a couple of different things for you guys who are interested in maybe playing it once it does drop. So before we do that, guys, if you could please help out the channel by leaving a like and subscribe, as it helps me put out more videos about this content. So any help will be greatly appreciated. And without further ado, let's just get right into XDefiant server test. So for you guys that don't know what XDefiant is, think of Ubisoft making a first-person game shooter with their IPs in it and allowing it to work like a Call of Duty type of game. And you pretty much have XDefiant. It is a first-person action hero shooter mixed into a lot of the Ubisoft universe with different factions and different gameplay mechanics, and also different modes that you would see in something like Call of Duty or other first-person shooters, all mixed and wrapped into one. I think that it's a decent idea, but there's some caveats to it that might not necessarily appeal to everyone in this particular genre. So let's just start off with the pros. We'll go over the cons, and I'll tell you what my final thoughts are. Start with the pros. I mean, if you are a Ubisoft niche fan of all their different IPs, I think that you will actually like this. Now, granted, they're not going to have something like Assassin's Creed on there, but mostly they're tactical shooter IPs like The Division, Ghost Recon, etc. They have different factions that they have made into the game that represent these different icons. And so I think that, for example, you look at the Division characters. If you guys can remember the Cleaners were, a street gang in there that were using nothing but fire to destroy and cause havoc on the streets. They've made a faction out of that. They made a faction out of the Ghost. They used a lot of tactical combat and worked with a lot of teams to be able to achieve their actual missions. I think they have that in there as well. And I've tried those particular classes out, and they seem pretty fun, and they brought back memories of when I played some of the games. And I think if you have that niche audience about those games, kind of like I do, I think it's something that you will enjoy. Now, also getting into the game, it does remind me a whole lot of Call of Duty. It plays like Call of Duty. It runs like Call of Duty. It almost could be even a clone of Call of Duty in the way that it plays, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's familiar. You can hop right in there. You know how your movement goes. Your different mechanics as far as your shooter goes. And I think Ubisoft did a really good job in trying to make it as comfortable as possible for newcomers who don't know much about the game or anything like that to be able to pick up a gun, run around, shoot, take some people out, and keep it moving. Now, getting into the graphics are pretty solid. I think that, it doesn't require an extremely powerful PC. I haven't really looked at the graphic specifications for the game yet, or because obviously it hasn't launched, but I haven't seen anything that would be extremely hard to run if you're running on PC. If you're running on console, I think that should run pretty well. I did play with a controller, and it seemed pretty tight and very relaxed with how you're able to make your movements, your adjustability as far as your particular settings on how you like them yourself. I think that's a pretty good thing. Again, it's very familiar, and it's nothing that it would be extremely complicated to be able to use. Now let's talk about the cons. The one major con that we're going to talk about with this is the net code. The net code and the way it works as far as the kill registers, some of the ping, I swear to you, is just needs a lot of work. I played into multiple matches where there should have been kills that were actually kills, and then they showed that they were delayed, or you can feel like you got the drop on someone and you shot someone with with enough bullets to kill them, and somehow they came in and got the kill on you anyway. And I just didn't really like that. I think they really need to put a lot more work into that. I get that this isn't the final product, but that's something they should really look into and really try to make changes on. Also mentioned that I've seen other open beta and other betas of the game, and I didn't see the Echelon class, which obviously I'm very disappointed about because Splinter Cell, out of all the different IPs that Ubisoft had put out, is my favorite. I was hoping to play with those characters, but they were not in the server test, so I can't really tell you about those. But hopefully, they do put them out in the full version, and that I think that would actually help with the old genre based action shooter that they're putting out here, because I think something like that is just going to break up the norm, which leads me to my last con, and that's the repetitive gameplay. The repetitive gameplay is that a lot of people are running around with the same factions with the same guns and using the same different loadouts, and it just starts to get a little repetitive. I hope that Ubisoft actually does something a little bit to either nerf or make some changes in the final release to help bring more classes into the fold that will be more useful than something like the Libertad using the ACR, with their healing and their self heals. And I just think that just is a boring gameplay design. And I think people draw to it because it helps them get the most amount of kills. It's just something that I don't particularly like, and maybe that they'll change that in the future. But ultimately, yeah, my final thoughts on this game is I think that in the server test, there's a lot of changes that need to be made. I think that they make those particular changes. I think it'll draw an audience. I think if people who love Ubisoft games but don't like Call of Duty, probably will be drawn to this particular title. I think it's something that we won't know until the full release, but I feel hopeful and think that it'll be able to do well if people really give it a chance and Ubisoft does what it needs to do to make those changes. Even after release, I think it might gain some popularity. And with that, guys, that's my take on the server test for XDefiant. And hopefully it does make the changes it needs to make. And think it'll turn out to be a good video. I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have a great one. Check you out later. Peace.